Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Raz with another segment in Can We Talk? Today, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different that not everybody can relate to. Now, some of you have known me my whole life, and you know me as Eric Allen Raspberry. However, I was adopted. I was adopted when I was 2 years old. My birth name is Eric Leonard Perrin. Now, I was number five of eight children, and the family was challenged economically, so I was put up for adoption. And Myrtle and Frank Raspberry, they were looking for a completion of their family because my mother could not have children. So they already had a girl, my sister Robin, which is 5 years older than me, and they were looking for a boy. So they came across me. My father was his superior, and so I was adopted. And I know it's hard to believe, but for the first 2 weeks I hardly said a word, and I can't tell you why it was like that. Maybe it was the adjustment, but I will say this: growing up, I was privileged. I was given everything. I was spoiled. Race sets. I probably had about nine race sets, two bicycles. I had a remote control plane. Had a pinball machine. All these crazy things that the average child didn't have. However, when my parents got divorced when I was 10, and that really didn't affect me that much because I really didn't understand what a divorce was. All I knew, my father didn't live with us. And, I would see him from time to time, and I never understood why my mother would say, when I asked my father for a birthday present or a Christmas present, make sure that it was the biggest and the best available. And, she said that he sent child support, but it just wasn't enough, and it may have been the living standard. And we had moved to the West Coast, and he was on the East Coast, and it had cost so much money for her to fly back. So um, that was, a game that they played. I still stayed out of it. I still maintained my life as a kid, and I went to a privileged high school, a surfer school, right at the beach. Great, great, great friends. The people of color were from affluent families. The Caucasian kids were from affluent families. So to me, the whole world was like that, at least in my bubble. And then, as I grew up, we had a neighbor. He went to Crenshaw High, and some of the views didn't agree to me. The man is gonna stop me, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I don't know who the man is, but I don't. That's not me. So at age 22, I was told that I was adopted. I had no idea that I was adopted. I do remember at age 12, I found a paper in my mother's drawer, and it had Franklin Benjamin Perrin and Ketra Perrin, and then it had Myrtle May Raspberry, Frank Marcus Raspberry, and it didn't make sense to me. The bell didn't go off, but I remembered that paper and I remember those names. So when they told me when I was 22, I just like sat back in my chair. It was my sister and my mother, and my sister kept asking me, "Am I mad? Am I mad?" And I'm thinking that made no sense to me. Am I mad? Am I mad? And it's like they had anticipated me being upset because they waited so long to tell me. And in my mind, there was no room for anger. because I look back on my life, my childhood, on how beneficial Frank and Myrtle were in my life, giving me the confidence, giving me the tools to succeed. That it was more of a shock, and then there is a part, there's an illusion that my whole life was a lie, because I thought I was this. And I think how many times they say, oh, you look just like your father, oh, you look just like your mother, and then in reality you find out neither one of them are who they are. And I had seen something on television, and these young people had found out they were adopted, and they were mad at their biological family. And I say, how dare they? For whatever reason, that home was not conducive to a child flourishing. But yet these children can stand in court today with defiance for their own personal reason. But to me, it's wrong, because for me, being adopted was a blessing. In 2009, I found my biological family. And it was funny when I flew back to Baltimore, and my father had just died. Weird story. I went back to meet my father. My sister, Monica, left me in the airport for 9 hours for, I don't know, that was just what happened. And so she picked me up, she dropped me off where my father was. He was in a hospice. So I spent 2.5 hours with him, fed him Jello, put ice on his lips. He could barely lift his head. He was very weak, but he was holding on for me. And I thank God for that moment. And then I went to get something to eat, and I came back, and apparently a disc in my back had shattered from diving off the Noble's roof into the pool earlier, that year. And the disc had shattered. I was rushed to emergency. I was in the hospital under Eric Roseberry, so no one in my family could find me because I was in there under the wrong name. But come to find out, my father died right after I was rushed to emergency. But I will say this, when I was sitting in that room after he had passed, and I'm looking at all these people in this room, males and females, and the majority of them are talking, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, they all look like me. It's kind of scary, when you're in a room and everybody looks like you, but it's the family traits are so strong. And I'm thankful that I found them. Some of them were receptive, and some of them were standoffish, and one of them, boy, you'd swear that I burned his fire truck. He's just not with it. And every family has issues. I will say that. And you guys know me, I'm pretty easygoing. Unless, you kill my dog, we probably got a problem. Now that I'm married, you do something to my wife, we probably have a problem. We actually will have a problem. And, but adoption for me worked out. And I wish that everybody that was adopted focus on what good things happen out of the adoption. You can sit around and you can be mad because your biological mother or father gave you up for whatever reason, but that's no reason to take it out on the adopting mother or father. They're doing the best they can. They're actually giving you love. And love you can't buy. Love is so important. I would rather be in a family or with people that love me than with people that think of me as trash, that don't even want to acknowledge my existence. Oh, go feed the dog, and that's how they see the baby. I wouldn't want to be in that family. I'd want to be in that family that nurtures me, that picks me up, that, makes me feel good, that compliments me, that teaches me. So, adoption can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Some people do it for the wrong reason. Some people adopt kids for a check, and that's not right. You know, you, there's enough children in the world and enough parents in the world to adopt kids. Yes, you may not know the history of that kid. The kid may be the product of a mother that was addicted to drugs, but these are things that you do in the research. And just know that the child that you adopt is a human being and may not be a mini you, but can be a mini you in the way you raise that child. And to raise a child to be a good person, that's, a serious underdog. That's a really good thing. And it's a blessing. And God smiles upon that. And, adoption. I just wanted to, give this story to maybe someone that was adopted, can get something out of it. And, those that have lost their parents, it's very sad, but it's okay. God's got you. And just remember that. And this is Eric Raz. You could find me at Raz at Can We Talk YouTube channel. You could also email me directly at lowercase erasbury, ERASBURY at yahoo.com. I'd love to hear from everybody. I'd love for everybody to, if this makes you think of something, someone that you know, put something in the comment. I am trying to build a channel. I am disabled and I'm just trying to get in where I fit in. And anyone can tell you I love my friends. I don't care whether it's been 50 years since I've seen you. Brother, sister, you're still my friend because, I have that burnt in my head. And not everybody that I meet I can call friend. But, I love you guys and I'm thankful for you guys and God bless you and thank you.